Imperialism and language. Language is a way of people's communication, either spoken or written, consisting of the use of words in a structured and conventional way. Language is not only a means of communication, but also a part of human identity. He who loses his language has also lost his identity. Language should not be a barrier to education, but the imperialists made it so. The best education we have gotten as Africans is to speak the biggest grammar in the English dictionary and to recite all the words in the Arabic books, and that makes us feel we are educated. If we feel so, we should visit countries where English is the first language. We shall come to understand that speaking English or any foreign language does not define education or literacy. Being able to speak foreign languages does not mean to be smart, intelligent, or enlightened, because if it does, African people would have been among the smartest and the most intelligent in the world when it comes to education. Language is an important imperialistic tool, used for domination and killing identity. The target of imperial language is to make the native language look inferior, and by doing so destroy that particular native language. There was a time when it was the Greek language. There was a time when it was the Latin language. There were times when it was Persian or Arabic. Now it is English and French. The first step of an imperial expansion is to establish their language in the occupied land. Every empire tries to sell their language to others so that imperialism moves faster and easier, because communication is the first step of imperialism. Today, people who know nothing but can only speak English parade themselves as the educated ones, advisors, politicians, and so on. With little or no experience, no exposure, all they have gotten is to speak English language. They have forgotten that a lot of English-speaking citizens cannot even write their own name in the English they pronounce. Education is complex. It is not just the ability to speak another language. Speaking only English is nothing but having a limited potential. So, if you think that speaking English is what makes you an educated person, then you should have a rethink. Then we should count Igbos and Hausas, who did not go to school but can speak the Yoruba language, as educated people too. Russians speak and teach in the Russian language. Japanese speak and teach in their own language. The Chinese do the same, and so do those in many other countries. The English language extended to non-English speaking countries is not an education, but an imperial tool. If speaking English is all you have gotten, that means you have gotten a limited education. I said years ago that we should start teaching in our own languages and print the educational books in our own languages as Africans. I don't know if the careers of those who studied Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba are focused on teaching those subjects only as basics, but it is time to advance the teaching to another level. By now we should have broken the limitations between our language and education. We should translate all school books, for example, physics, chemistry, math, biology, government, social studies, into our local languages and have them printed and taught in those languages. If it was possible for the imperialists to translate and print the Bible and Quran in our local language, why did they refuse to translate the physics books and other educational books? From my personal research, I have found out that one reason many of those who came before us cannot do well or had no interest in education was because of the language barrier between the people and education. Those who moved civilization together with their languages, for example, China, India, Russia, France, and others, did better than those who gave up their language in the name of civilization. If you travel to a village today, even the oldest person, who didn't go to school, can recite verses from the Bible in the Igbo language, educate people on the Bible, preach perfectly, and finally convince people. This is because it was written in a language everyone understands better, and it was taught in the same language. But ask that same person about biology, and it will sound strange to him/her. Why? Because it is written in a foreign language. Imagine that we had these books in our local languages. The people who came before us would have made science and other types of education easier for us. Those who will put these educational books into our own local languages and the government that will support them will be doing us a great favor. Don't let your head blow off because you have memorized another man's language, English, without understanding the meaning, when and how to say it. Education can be acquired in any language. People can quote the laws and constitution the same way they understand and quote the Bible in the local languages. Language should not be a barrier to education. Rather, it should be a stepping stone. Reading will continue after a short break. Education in language. According to Oxford Dictionary, education is the process of receiving or giving systematic instruction, especially at a school or university. But in my own definition, education is development of consciousness to an enlightening experience, a tool to develop human consciousness. The question here is that since education is the process of receiving or giving systematic instruction, especially at a school or university, does this mean that Africans cannot give and receive this systematic instruction in their local or native languages? If we can, why haven't we done so? The truth is that Africans can and have been giving and receiving knowledge in their own local languages since before the arrival of the Western and Arabic educations, and the falsehood is that the only way an African can be educated is via foreign language. A gifted singer is not he who memorized all the words in the English dictionary or he who can recite every word in Arabic books. Anybody can progress in both singing and writing in any language they are comfortable with. It is the message that counts. If your message is as good as people want, they shall translate it into many languages. Jesus taught in Hebrew, but today, you can read and hear his words in many languages. So do not limit your ability regardless of the language you speak or write. A gifted singer does not have to learn a foreign language to sing well or to make his or her voice sound better, because the inspiration of what he/she is to write or sing comes to him/her without effort, even when he or she is not ready to write or sing. People of this character are in every level of life. You can find them among the weak, strong, poor, rich, young and old. They may not be as rich as you think or as poor as you think, but the truth of the matter is that they're gifted with abstract thinking or abstract intelligence. Do not limit your potential because your talent lies in your language. Rather, you should unlock and expand your potential because you can do it within your own language.